Okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. Every video I start with, I gotta start with that. But um, I'm so thankful that I was able to see things for what they are. I mean, I'm so unfazed by the retardation they try to make me have, and I understand. Listen, I'm a target individual. Why? Okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. Every video I start with, I gotta start with that. But um, I'm so thankful that I was able to see things for what they are. I mean, I'm so unfazed by the retardation they try to make me have, and I understand. Listen, I'm a target individual. What it means that I'm being used by these governmental entities as a guinea pig. They're using my body, my brain to develop this weapon system, and they disorient me, they torment me, they rewire me, they manipulate me, and then they try to make you acceptive of this manipulation. And they have clans like you see that this group of whatever you see in the blur to try to gaslight you into accepting the manipulation that clearly are manipulated by them. My brain is completely manipulated. At this point, it's been clear and understanding that my brain is no longer my brain. But once they manipulate you, they want you to accept this manipulation because they try to put this persona together and they have no shame of how low they'll go. You see multiple pictures over there. You see like a little small pictures. Those are pictures of me in the 2010, 2011 when I'm in college, right? I'm in college. I live in at this point in this like boring city where there's not too much, right? I'm in a suburb or someplace, and so, to as somebody in their young 20s, I'm trying to have parties and things like that. Try to have something going on, and so I used to invite people that invited their friends, right? All college kind of people, study college, in college, something like that. But they would bring their friends, so their friends would just perhaps graduated high school and start in college soon. So they would these perps use even that as validation because, for example, and I've made prior videos about the different thing. For example, there's this group of girls that came. I didn't invite them. The friend that invited them. Those girls just graduated high school. They're about to go to college, or they're about to just go after high school, do whatever they do. I'm in college. Those people who invited them are in college, and so they come. And it was somebody's birthday, and started, dancing. Like there was this song called birthday sex, and it was kind of like erotic kind of dancing. And so one of the girls, the person I invited dancing one girl, and I dancing with the other. And the girl apparently at that time was 1 month away to turn 18. Her friend turned 18. She was going to turn 18 the following month. I only know that because after later on they tried to bring that as like validation, right? So I danced with her, got her number, maybe texted her once, and never talked to her again, right? It was just like something like that. Never. Matter of fact, the message you see over there in blue is me talking to her. It's like, hey, do you remember me like X amount of years ago? Of course she does anyway. But like, oh, see, that's proof. Girls. I'm in college. She just finished high school. She's about to go where her friend turns 18. She a month away from turning 18. Matter of fact, they messed with me at one point because they can play my brain. They made me confuse the month. For some reason, they made me think that July came before June. They can play with your brain this way, where you get just disoriented in this fashion, which kind of triggers something else there. But you see this purple over there, on top over there. It's like, oh, they're gonna castrate you. It's like, oh, because that now validated me. Because today what's happening is they are forcing me to have sexual reaction to children. From the babies to the older kids. Even people who just look like kids. They can be adults, but like this young adult that can perhaps. Me, how do you think I respond? How do you think I will respond to your retirement? And today they are framing me with kids, right? These people came to your party. They say, that's proof. And today they are framing me with kids, right? Teenagers. And I'm looking at it as like, these kids at this time were probably like 5 years old. And today they're like, oh no, because 10 years when we were 5, you were having this party over there. And they're gonna use their kids to frame me. I'm like, oh, please go ahead, you sad, pathetic trash. I can tell you how the future's gonna come for you. Things are gonna come to you in the good ways. Good ways. You see these losery of human beings. Like for me, I'm like, why? If you did that in front of me, how do you think I respond? How do you think I would respond to your retardation? And they tell me you're gonna be filmed being raped and tortured. I was like, whatever's gonna happen to me, I'd rather get raped than tortured. Because this trash doing this is for one purpose. They're working for governmental entities. This program is meant to develop this weapon system that is supposed to push a man or woman into insanity. It's psychological cognitive warfare. They implant personality in people, and they want you to accept this implantation of personality. That's why they go talk about in college. You remember that party? That's why. Because today, in real time, what's happening when I see kids, I'm getting forced stimulation. They can manipulate and alter my brain. Now, my brain is going to be altered, but they will also want me to identify with this manipulation. That they are doing some kind of research, and their research is some trash or retardation. But magically, what has happened is how they've been embarrassed by reality. Now, what you're going to see on the side over there, on that side, you're going to hear why this governmental entity is developing this weapon system. Obviously, this is not just some group of investigators just looking at it. It's people working for governmental entities that have been involved in a program where they are developing weapon system. This weapon system attacks the body and the mind, right? The mind is attacked with this nasty reaction they make you have. That's why they go into these things and try to find ways to make you acceptive of the manipulation you have today. They always try to make you acceptive of what you're experiencing today based on, oh no, but you know, in college, you remember this person at the party. Remember, was she 18 yet? This person only danced with her, got the number, maybe text once, and that's it. A month before her birthday. Don't even know like that. I'm 23 years old. But they try to find, before it was like, oh, this person that's 3 years younger than you, that's it's like, now we mapped it, because today what's happening is they're forcing me to have sexual reaction toward children. Hey, by the way, if we wanted to be technical, all of that, based on what I was, is all out in the age of consent, by the way. Add that to it too. And this is not even what I'm just saying, like, even if you add that, all of that happened, so you even look, and so today is just trying to make me acceptive, because like, oh, now you see, when you were like 23, when you're 21, when you're 20, this person that's 2 years, 3 years younger than... It's crazy. And the reality is that they work for governmental entities where pedophilia has been an issue. You're going to hear that. In 2019, this Department of Defense entities, this Department of Defense agencies there was a bill called End National Defense Network Abuse Act, because they were done only so much child porn using the DoD computers. Now, these people that you see there, they of course work for these governmental entities. These bottom tiers are nothings. They just look at, come on. Like, am I supposed to take them seriously? I take them for what they're truly part of. What they can do to me is horrible, but they can do that to me because they participate in this program that does that, and that's run by these governmental entities with issue pedophilia. And on top of that, the magical thing about it is because I was put in this program by an employer who donated so much money. This is Roy Moore. Let me say that, Roy Moore. This man, the way they have been restricted to say his name, because I guess his influence, they say his name as if it's this mystical being. They can't say it openly, and you can hear the nastiness he was doing, or he was allegedly doing. Oh, I'd love to put that in their faces. Look at the reality while you're here talking about me in college. Me, somebody 3 years, sad, pathetic, low life. And then calling yourself theirs when you came and say Roy Moore openly. And they find the fierceness of saying that name in this hidden ways is magical. But this is specific to me as a target individual, because employer that put me in this program donate a lot of money to the men that you're going to hear. But for me, it's just magical. Like they like to say, it's faith. It's fate. It's fate that you are here trying to make me acceptive of this, but the reality is you guys are the pedos. Listen to the entities running this program. I think these people in their pajamas are doing that to me? Investigating their children. They're like, they have no self-respect. And so when they were bringing, oh, you see, that's where one.
14 when more than 32, an assistant district attorney sexually assaulted her back in 1970 from her job. But the flood of accusations began 1 week ago. Lee Korfman tells the Washington Post she was only 14 when more than 32, an assistant district attorney sexually assaulted her back in 1979. Wendy Miller says she was 14 when Moore first approached her at the mall, and was 16 when Moore asked her out on dates. But she says they did not go out because her mother forbade it. Debbie Wesson Gibson says she was only 17 when an assistant district attorney
has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material called Project has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material called Project Flickr. Some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, the notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on. Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's
part of the team, and evil aliens into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality spies, and evil aliens work. They'll say we're the Russian government, we're the V2K. So they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
Be my guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in their 50s. This is, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly. It's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can,
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean,
Of innocent citizens being controlled by government-sanctioned experiments? Is Cheryl Welch telling the truth, or are her claims absurd? Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove? Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich.
I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welch and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experiments. The weapons of this century aren't bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is a greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder.
Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction, the ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain.
Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behavior of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low-Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems, being able to not just debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
But how?
HARP is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which started as a joint effort of the Air Force and Navy. This is a very large array or field of antennas based in Alaska, radio frequency antennas.
HARP antennas transmit powerful radio signals into the upper atmosphere to study the effects on wireless communications. But Begich says HARP can also be used for more sinister ends.
HARP has announced several other programs and campaigns, and there's two areas that I got very concerned about. One was weather modification applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response. The brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You could change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication.
Can we hear sounds?
Brain that can pipe voices into an individual's head. And once you can do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War to tell the enemy at that time, lay down your guns, this is Allah. And it worked pretty well because hearing voices which have no direction or sound, you have to assume that it's some spiritual entity. So it works pretty well. And then, I don't know if I'm going to get into this, but there's something called hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define their probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain? Most people don't believe that. Oh, you can't control me. I have my own free will. There's no way you can get to my soul. Well, sorry, that's not true.
14 when more than 32, an assistant district attorney sexually assaulted her back in 1970.